Hi there, and welcome to another day of adventures with Wes and Jeff. And we are in the state of Florida. Actually, Wes is in the state of Florida, and I'm just off of the Miami coast at a place called Biscayne National Park. And this is a very unique park in that it's 95% water, and it's reefs, and it's keys, which are little islands, and it's just off of the coast here. And I'm going to take a boat ride out to some of the keys today and take a look at the crystal blue waters and the fish and all the stuff that it has to offer. There's a visitor center that's right on the coastline here that's called Dante Fascell Visitor Center. I'm going to take a look at that as well and just enjoy a great day here at Biscayne National Park. Biscayne National Park is located on the southeastern tip of Florida, 35 miles south of Miami, between Key Biscayne and Key Largo. This is a tropical water world of colorful coral reefs, islands called keys, and shoreline mangroves. The park covers 172,971 acres, of which only 9,075 acres are land. The park sees approximately 600,000 annual visitors, and 95% of this park is water, so exploring it usually is done by boat, kayak, or by snorkeling or diving in its crystal blue warm waters. Biscayne National Park protects 4 distinct ecosystems. Part of the Florida's mangroves along the shoreline, the shallow waters of Biscayne Bay, one of the largest coral reefs in the world, the Coral Limestone Keys, and the offshore Florida Reef. The park features over 50 shipwrecks on the Maritime Heritage Trail, home to 600 fish species, the manatee, and 4 different types of sea turtles. Biscayne contains 42 islands or keys. Boca Chita Key is the most popular and visited key, primarily due to its iconic 1930s lighthouse and picturesque harbor. The Elliott Key is the park's largest island and the most northern of the true Florida keys formed by the fossilized coral reef. In fact, over 10,000 years ago, the Tequesa people were the Native Americans that lived on Elliott Key as a seasonal settlement. This is the visitor center here, and these are the grounds. There's a short quarter-mile trail. It's a place where the blue of the sky and the blue of the bay melt into one another. It's a place where red-rooted trees march into the sea, and sea turtles lumber ashore to lay their eggs. It's a place where people leave cars behind and plunge into an underwater wonderland. So this is the little trail that I'm going to take. It is crystal blue water, as you can see to the bottom, and I see like a little eelfish looking thing down there already. And this is the nice little trail that walks along here. I'm going to show you off in the distance. You'll see that's the city of, let me see if I can get it in here. That's the city of Miami skyline right there. So I'm going to be taking that boat ride out to the key. And here's the visitor center, and it's a beautiful day. It's going to be in the high 70s into 80s. It's a nice little boardwalk. It's super clean and just beautiful water. You can see there's a school of fish right there, glimmering in the morning sunlight, and you can see that there's some reef right here, a big school of fish. So this is a very interesting park. It was established back in June 28th of 1980. Third largest reef in the world, and it's one of the best scuba and snorkel destinations in the world as well. Most people go out on a boat to check it out. They go snorkeling, they get on kayaks, and they check out the waters and the mangroves that are out there on those keys. So stick with me and we will explore this wonderful park here in the state of Florida. And I'm going to be taking these boats, probably this one right here, on a little cruise out to the Keys here at Biscayne National Park. It's going to be a fun-filled day. I'm really excited about it. There's several others going out today, different boats. This one I chose is the Heritage. It talks about the history. This big boat here is what I think I'm going to be traveling on this morning, and it's a beautiful day. It's like 70 degrees. It'll probably get up to almost 80 today. Crystal blue skies, and just gonna be a nice time. So Biscayne National Park, and this is the marina that's located right at the visitor center. There's only one visitor center for the park.
Does anyone have a favorite national park?
Tetons.
Tetons?
Wrangell St. Elias.
Young and relatively small national park. We got national monument status in 1968 and then national park status in 1980. And we're about 173,000, a little less than our 14 million acres of but we're small and mighty. As you guys look out, you'll notice that we don't have mountains. We don't have a big hole in the ground. We don't have any crazy rock structures above water. So why is this national park a national park? But right over here to our left, that is Adams Key. Right in front of us is the south end of Elliott Key. And then we'll be talking about Porgy Key and Tottenham Key, which is kind of mingled in this bunch of keys over to our right. So Adams Key is well known. It was once owned by a gentleman named Carl Fisher. That name might sound familiar if you have ever read anything about South Beach. He was one of the huge developers of South Beach, and he built the Portobello K Club on Adams. And And this club was basically his marketing way of selling different properties in South Beach. So he bought the property from him. And then one of our ice ages happened, lowering the sea level, and all of our corals died out, then calcified, creating this Florida Keys limestone that all of the plants ended up making into a nice little island there. Technically, but I mean there's lots of keys that are not technical keys. Key West. But we won't tell them.
I stood up and poof, my hat went off. And now it's now in the Atlantic Ocean. So darn it all.
Welcome to Boca Chita. I could just get everybody to have a nice little seat while we navigate into the lovely harbor.
I'm sorry. Such a cute lighthouse, Boca Chita. I think we're going to learn that this has never been used as an actual lighthouse. It's more for decoration. But this is Boca Chita, and there's a campground here, and a day use area.
Man, that's killing me.
This is a little protected bay.
Yeah, I thought it was something else.
And so people bring their private boats over here, and that is the only way you can get to the national park campground. Unfortunately, they're trying to come up, she was explaining that they're trying to come up with a way that they can have folks come over and enjoy this absolutely beautiful day. Nice puffy clouds. And so you get this little protected bay here, so people can bring their boats over for the day or overnight here and camp on a first come, first served basis. Boca Chita Key, and that's Boca Chita Lighthouse right behind me. This was purchased by Mark Honeywell back in 1937. He sold it in 45, but a lot of the affluent people back in the day bought some of these keys and they made their residences here. But this lighthouse is very historic, and Spencer, who works with the Biscayne Institute, is going to explain to us and take us up into the lighthouse today. So the interesting part is folks have their yachts. Hi there, Missy. And they bring their yacht out here. That one's from Delaware and from the north east. When it's nasty in the winter times, this is the place to come. And they bring their boats down here. They can dock right here in this key and enjoy this protected waters. And so this particular cruise that I'm on has a guide that's going to take us up into the lighthouse and explain the history of it.
Industrial thermostat, and making it at a small scale so that you could have it at your home. So Honeywell Heating and Cooling was his business. And he made a bunch of money and decided he needed a private island, as one does. And he would host the Committee of 100, which were 100 most influential and rich men at the time. They discussed world politics right there at that pavilion. He built himself a 4-car garage because one needs a 4-car garage on an island that doesn't have any roads. But he basically got the island because he wanted a party island and he wanted to show off his cool cars. They would bring their yachts in here, spend the night, put up these big canvas tents where they would have lots of food and drinks. This is right after Prohibition time, kind of Great Depression era time. And they would just party on this island. He didn't necessarily want to leave on Sunday mornings for mass, but his wife was very religious, so he built her a chapel and would carry in a priest for her on Sunday mornings. And then he brought himself a lighthouse, and his big idea was that he'd light it up when the party had started, so all his friends in Miami and Coconut Grove would know to head over. The Coast Guard didn't love this idea. Lighthouses are supposed to be safe passage, and it's supposed to signify safe passage on the ocean side and some danger on the non-ocean side, the closer to land side. As you can see, this one is not on the right side of the island, and it's within our reef system, so it's not great for safe passage. So it's never allowed to put a light in it. Instead, he bought himself a cannon that he'd fire off at the beginning of his parties. I'll open up the lighthouse, and then just at the bottom of the lighthouse are some photos of Mark Honeywell and his wife, and some other things. There's Rosie the elephant, which was Carl Fisher, his elephant that he would bring over. But you can check that out. And then this here is the Florida Keys limestone.
The really cool part is we get to go inside.
Each other listening over the railings.
And we get to go up into the lighthouse, which Spencer had to unlock the key in order for us to do it. And this is the lighthouse that Mark Honeywell had built back in the late 30s, early 40s, 1900s. Oh my gosh, this is like so beautiful up here to be able to see all the way around the lighthouse. Oh wow, what great 360-degree views of the bay, Boca Chita Bay, out across. This is just beautiful. Out over to Miami. The skyline there. And that's the rest of Miami there. And so this is Boca Chita Key. Top of the lighthouse at Boca Chita Key, and this is the view. Such a nice day, such a beautiful place. And the guide is going to explain to us a little bit of the history of this lighthouse. Can't go to the very top because there's one more section that goes up to the very top that's closed off, but the rest of it has this beautiful 360 degree view of Boca Chita Key and the harbor here, as well as the campground that you can see down into the water, and it's like super clear. And you can see the grasses, you can see some fish, and kind of the little marks that are made through the grasses on the bottom. It's only about 12 to 15 feet deep around this key, and so the fish like it because there's reefs just on the outside of the key that is kind of a protected area for them. It's a feeding ground for them, but absolutely beautiful day. And this turquoise water that you often see when you go from Key Largo all the way down the Keys to Key West to the very southern tip. This turquoise water is absolutely beautiful. Day, not hardly any wind. At the base of the lighthouse is a historic cannon that was salvaged from the sunken shipwreck of the HMS Winchester, a British warship that sank east of Key Largo. The wreck was discovered by a fisherman, and Honeywell hired divers to salvage the cargo, which included anchors, coins, marked cannonballs, and cannons. Honeywell was in the process of building Boca Chita and incorporated one of these cannons here. Here at Boca Chita Key, and this is the lighthouse here that Mark Honeywell of the Honeywell fame had built when he bought this key out here in Biscayne National Park back in 1937. He sold it in 1945, but he built this lighthouse here on his key because it was his party island, and he put that cannon in as well. But he built the lighthouse so he could light it up and let his friends, his well-to-do friends over in Miami, which is just right across the bay there, know that he was having a party. Well, that wasn't so cool. The Coast Guard didn't like it. They didn't want him doing that. So they put a stop to that because lighthouses are really a beacon to guide the mariners, right? But in this case, his invitation to his parties. And so that wasn't working. So he ended up having a cannon put in. So he lit the cannon and made a sonic boom there to let them know, hey, the party started. So this is the lighthouse. Definitely a really cool looking lighthouse. It's a really peaceful, nice little walk. You can get separated from the rest of the boat group. We've got this crystal clear water, turquoise blue, here at Biscayne National Park on Boca Chita Key. It's really pretty. There's the bay, and over here is the cathedral that he had built for his wife. Believe it or not, here at Boca Chita Key in Biscayne National Park, this is the first come, first serve campground. The only hard part about enjoying the beautiful view of this campground and occupying these spaces is you got to get here. And there's no boats, no ferries, anything other than private operators that can bring you out here. So it's kind of hard to get here. Having my lunch here at Boca Chita Key. It's beautiful. These huge yachts in here. Take a walk. You can watch the fish. Just enjoy the afternoon. Boca Chita Key. This is Mark Honeywell's 4-car garage. Well, no roads on this key, but he needed his cars here so he could just tootle around. Not very far, not very efficient, but he needed to have his expensive cars out here. So he built that along with the lighthouse and the chapel for his wife because she was very religious. And he had the bay built there. This is all in 1937 to 45, 1945. Beautiful. He knew the good stuff, that's for sure. And seabirds. And this is the little beach that's on the other side of the key that you can go out into the water and enjoy it. She said it's a cool 71 degrees. She gets too cool for swimming in Florida. Just kind of had to laugh at her, but it's too cold. Summer months, this water is 80 degrees around these keys. That's why the fish does do so well in this area. But this is part of the campground in the key. They got restrooms here, and this was his estate. Now it's part of the Biscayne National Park, and beautiful that we can come out here and enjoy the day, and enjoy these beautiful surroundings. Very green and lush. Nice clean restrooms, lots of campground, area space, and day use that people can enjoy here while staying on the key. So looks like people are getting back on the boat. So we're gonna be making our way back. Stiltsville, that's what
we're not passing it, but yeah, it's a
This is
spot
Spencer.
that was kind of started by Crawfish Eddie, this legendary fisherman, and he decided that he was going to run aground one of his vessels and then build a shack on top of it, and he sold bait and tackle, and he sold his chowder, and he sold beer out of there because it was good fishing grounds. And then everybody else kind of started coming in, running their vessels aground, building the Stiltsville structures on top of them. And there were a couple different clubs out there. Commodore Ed Turner came out with his barge and ran underground and built the Quarterdeck Club, which was the first club out there, and it was pretty notorious. It had a lot of illegal gambling. And so it was after Prohibition, so drinking was okay, but they didn't necessarily have the right permits and stuff as well. And then in the heyday, there were 27 structures out there.
27. So how many remain? 6.
Yep, so
after the hurricane, yeah.
Donna was the first one to take them out. There were 13 after her, and then there were 7 after Hurricane Betsy, and then one of them burned down.
Yeah, there's a little hammerhead that just swam in the water. That's pretty cool. These are bottlenose dolphins that they were just pointing out and educating us on.
This Biscayne Bay, so that they would be passionate about it. They were able to create this into a national Floyd Miller, before he retired, he gave a speech and he basically said that it was through persistence. They weren't the cleverest and they weren't the smartest and they weren't the most powerful people, but through persistence they got the job done and protected the park. So it's a big national monument in '68. So the year before that it became a national monument, B.K. Ludwig saw that he was not going to get his deed aid, and he ended up selling part of his land to Florida Power, and that's why we have Turkey Point right there on our nuclear power plant is our left. But it went into a national monument and then the national park in 1980. We're really able to protect this gorgeous bay so that we can take you guys out on it. Turkey Point is pretty interesting. They have different reactors, so they don't have that big cooling tank because they pull in from the bay and use the bay waters to cool down their reactors. They were putting it straight back in. Does anyone know any interesting Florida animal that needs fresh water and salt water?
Crocodile?
Crocodile, yeah, the American crocodile. So the American crocodile was suffering because of the draining of the Everglades and a lot of population destruction. And they found their way back there. They're pretty shy creatures. They're not like their cousins, the alligators. And they hang out back there because there's a lot of security around there. People out.
At every national park that I visit, I'm at Biscayne National Park and the southern tip of Florida. I always go to the Visitor Center. The Visitor Center is really good because it's well put together and it has information, a little video that you can watch usually about the park. And this one is done really nice. It tells about all the different sea creatures and the uniqueness of this national park. This is the deck outside the Visitor Center here at Biscayne National Park. And the cool part is you can just sit in any of these rocking chairs and just look out over the park and just take in all the activity and the beautiful view. It's really, really nice. The Visitor Center here at Biscayne National Park. Helpful rangers.
Thank you.
A great display of all the creatures. And what makes this amazing is the mangroves, the keys, the coral. It's the world's third largest coral reef habitat. Different types of fish, sea creatures, cucumber, octopus, underwater off the keys. Colorful tube-like coral, colorful. English blend into it. It talks about the pirates and the human history. Pineapple growing. See that guy right there? Snorkeling. It's a great place to snorkel and scuba. People come from all over the world to experience the beautiful coral reef here and the sea life and canoe and kayak. And they have a great video about the Biscayne National Park. This is the marker here with the coordinates, and this is the view when you come through the open breezeway of the national park. Beautiful. There's a nice little trail that goes along the edge here all the way around, and this is where everybody catches their boats to go out to the Keys to take a look at the sea life and the different terrain that are on the Keys, which are the little islands. And that was the boat that I took, which was the Sawfish. Beautiful day. This is the visitor center right here, and the flag is like a mast on a ship, which is pretty cool. Biscayne National Park has hundreds of years of maritime history and a variety of cultural sites. Over 50 of them are shipwrecks, remnants of long ago when charts and navigational tools were extremely primitive. It's a day use area right here with great views of downtown Miami and some informational placards that are along the walking trail. And that's the visitor center once again. Beautiful and very helpful staff, the rangers that work in there. You can swim right out here in their bay, and there's lots of fish. We saw lots of fish. And just beautiful, clear day. But they get some good hurricanes that come through here, that's for sure. And this little stroll on their walking trail that's here. It's the only walking trail near the visitor center, and then they have a couple out on the Keys. Beautiful little trail along the coastline here at Biscayne National Park. Just 0.25, and there's a day use area along the way. It tells about the different fish, and it has great views. And there's the mangrove snapper and the blue striped grunt and the white grunt are common. There's fish. People are allowed to fish along here. Depending on the size, it's a catch and release, but they can they have to be determined by the weight of the catch, but they can keep some, but not all, the fish that they catch. So they go out here on this jetty and they fish, and there's these little scopes where you can look out can see the skyline of Miami and out into the bay here. You can just turn the little crank and it tells you, it focuses in on your view, so you can look at the sea life and the waterfowl that make this place their home. Pretty cool. Coral, crunched up coral along the edge here, and informational signage telling you about the civilization meeting the park along here. Thank goodness that some folks back in the 1960s said we can't destroy this by putting in oil refineries and those industrial type of activity to destroy the ecosystem here, but they were successful in having this area preserved for a national park for all of us to enjoy. But this trail goes along here, this raised boardwalk goes along, and it goes out into where these mangroves are. A lot of fish. I'm going to see if I can zoom in on the schools of fish, colorful fish that are in the waters here. You could snorkel along here. There's a little mangrove inlet. Enjoy this. So I'm just going to walk out to the tip out here to the end where the fish that are hunting, that the fish are, well, obviously, and where the seabirds are hunting for fish. That's what they do. They find their kill. These folks pointed out a small stingray that's making his way in the water there, right off of the trail.
Southern stingrays are flat diamond-shaped bottom hunter fish that are olive gray to dark brown with a white underside belly. Like sharks, they have no bones in their body and use their wing-like fins to glide through the water. They are not aggressive and only use the venomous barb on their tails for defense when threatened. Stingrays are often found on the seafloor or partially buried in the sand, leaving only its eyes exposed to stay hidden from predators and waiting on their prey.
Fishing on the seafloor here, and right along the mangrove. There's two of them. A bunch of smaller fish right here off the boardwalk.
Along this 0.8 of a mile trail out to the end of Convoy Point, there are many informational signs. One such sign reads, Ponce de Leon is said to have named this place after the Bay of Biscay in his native Spain. A reef near the northern end of the park is dubbed Folly after the British warship that wrecked there in 1748. The Black Caesar discovered hiding places in the network of mangrove-lined channels, and a creek on one of the keys bears his name. The history of exploration is written on this land. For many of Biscayne National Park visitors, Turkey Point at the end of this jetty marks the end of a journey. But most of this park is covered by water. No roads, no trails. The visitor to this park stands at the edge of discovery. Get out there and explore, paddle a canoe, watch a bird, snorkel a reef, immerse yourself in this place on the edge. Biscayne National Park, number 47 on my list of national parks that I'm going to be visiting of the 63. Had a wonderful day here at Biscayne National Park. It was very interesting. It was so intriguing, and it was absolutely beautiful. Great day for it, and I had a great time. Whatever you're doing today, get out and enjoy the great outdoors and do something that makes you smile.